Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. Today, we sit down with a truly remarkable young lady. Kendra Liinamaa joins us today to talk all about being a Millwright Apprentice and working in the mines. One of my favorite parts of her story is when she told me that she was into automotive and welding all throughout high school. When I asked her why, her answer was that she comes from a heavy metal family, so working with metal just made sense. Anyways, Kendra is working diligently to be the best that she can be in her craft and really own the fact that she can perform the job just as well, if not better, than her male counterparts. So tune in to hear Kendra's story all about how she got to where she is today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and on our website at blueisthenewwhite.com to receive all the latest updates. As always, this show is not monetized and we don't run ads. We rely strictly on word of mouth from our listeners to further the mission. So if you enjoy this episode, please take a second to rate it, review it, and share it with your friends. The future generations of tradespeople depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again and enjoy this episode of Blue is the New White with Kendra Liinamaa. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. Got an awesome guest with me today. It was supposed to be two, but now it's one. I think we're going to get two again once she recovers. So... Very excited about that, but until then, we have Kendra. Kendra, welcome to the Blue is the New White podcast.
Thanks, Josh. As you've introduced yourself, my name is Kendra Liinamaa. I'm a Millwright Apprentice with Valet, and I'm in the mining industry, so that's where I specialize. I've been a Millwright Apprentice for over 3 years now. Started in 2019 at City Welding. And so at some point while I was at Cambrian Learning, where I took my course, they asked me to do a speech for a bursary that I had won. And since then, I've been expanding on speaking as a woman in trades representative and continuing to just kind of put myself out there.
Nice. Well, you're doing a great job so far. You ended up on this podcast, so you got to be doing something right.
I got to be doing something wonderful.
No, that's awesome. And I just want to say thank you to Jamie out there for the introduction. Really awesome. So
he works hard.
Yeah, no kidding, right? But I think I'm busy with this show. Holy cow. All I got to do is see what Jamie's up to. I'm like, it ain't so bad.
But turns out I'm on a holiday.
Yeah, right. So, all right. So let take us back a little bit. You're a Millwright Apprentice, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And you are in the mining industry?
Yes.
That is cool. All right. So before we get to that, let's rewind, okay? You're a woman in the trades, which is awesome. I'm seeing more and more of this lately, and anybody who's read my book or watched my podcast knows that I'm a huge advocate, for women in the trades. And we can't close the skilled trades gap if we're leaving 50% of the demographic on the table. That's just stupid. So anyway, I'm a little curious, like, when did it start? Right? I mean, take me back.
That's just such a weird question for me because it was never a yes until grade 12. At some point, I just decided, you know what, I may as well do it. I remember when I was a kid, it wasn't like something we talked about going into trades or women belonging in trades. It was sort of like men are better and that's all it is. If you want to be cool, just be more like a guy. And I tried that and it worked really well for me for a long time, but eventually you just end up denying your own femininity and you're no longer a woman. You're just pretending to be a dude all the time. So I didn't wear makeup. I didn't do my nails very often. Like, I don't know. I went through some phases, obviously, with makeup and stuff, but nothing stuck and I never felt comfortable, I guess. And then I was in welding like all the way through high school, automotive too. For some reason, it still never clicked to me that could be something I could do for a job. My welding teacher even told me I should go for it. I should be a welder one day. And I told him that no one would hire a little girl to do a man's job straight from my own mouth, which is just crazy to think now.
So how'd you get in those classes to begin with?
I grew up in a heavy metal family.
Oh.
And I figured there's nothing more heavy metal than metal.
Awesome.
Which is the lamest reason to get into it, but
I don't
right
think
then.
so. I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it's actually the first time that I've heard that. So pretty awesome.
I think it's the first time I've said that one out loud.
Oh, wow. Heavy metal family. So got into heavy metal. Hey, you know what? However it happened, I'm glad it did.
My dad's still rocking the long hair. He's not giving up the 80s.
Right on. That's fantastic. So you obviously had an interest in it, right? I mean, you did it all through high school. What did you like about it? I mean, here's
It all made sense.
go
It was
ahead.
like logic. You're just looking at it, and everything that you're looking at makes sense. There's no sort of ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no questioning it. There's no opinions on it. You can sure you can have an opinion, but the facts speak for themselves. Like
Yeah.
that was probably my favorite part. And then constantly being active and moving and being able to come up with my own creative solutions, because there was a lot of things that weren't necessarily designed for a smaller body type or people that weren't necessarily strong. And even in high school, I remember bringing a stool or something over to the grinding table because it's like up to here on me, or getting some leverage with a pipe or whatever it took.
But you did it.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm still doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So was there pressure on you to go the traditional route, go to college and, white collar, fuck with
Yeah.
spreadsheets all day, that kind
I
of
think
stuff?
it's funny. There was a lot of pressure for both of my brothers to go into trades, like really hard. And my older brother tried. He went for HVAC, but it just wasn't for him. He was more of a computer, playing on games and things like that.
Sure.
That's his style. Nothing wrong with that. And they didn't really care what I did. Like they were supportive in a sense,
Yeah,
but they were like, just go and have at it. One
that's
day I
good.
just chose Millwright, and I remember there being like a little bit of, "Are you sure? Like you're positive you want to do that one?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
What about from like the educational staff, counselors or teachers or anything like that? Any
They were
concern
all
from any of them?
really positive about that,
Yeah.
because my welding teacher had been pushing it, and I think just around the horizon, I hadn't heard about it yet, but the whole woman in trades push was coming its way, and obviously it's here now, and we want to see a lot more women in trades because we're realizing the benefits to having it, and that we've been holding them back this whole time by not hiring enough of them, or you know being sexist when we choose who we hire and things like that.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go deep on you real quick. So,
Go ahead.
why do you think there's such a stigma around? Well, we know there's a stigma around the skilled trades in general, right? As far as it being kind of low level menial work, which is the perceptions that we're trying to shatter. But why specifically do you think there's such a stigma around women in the trades?
I think it's just been built into a lot of people for a long time. Even a lot of people that I really respect as tradesmen, people that have done fantastic work in their field, like they've been at it. And we can't have that with women the way we do with men. It's not my grandfather or my grandmother went and did this and blah, blah, blah. You don't hear that all the time. They took me to the side and they pulled me into the garage and we took apart everything in the garage and fixed it all. And I don't know, MacGyvered everything together. We built a sled trailer. We built a quad frame. Like they don't do that with girls. They do that with boys. It's not an expectation. You'd have to be raised like a boy in order to have anywhere near the same experience before you even get out there.
Yeah.
So I think that has translated a lot into the actual field.
It's a good answer, and I think you're right. It's kind of like one of those perceptions that gets so ingrained that nobody thinks there's another way, right? It's kind of how it is, which is why we're sitting here talking today to prove that
Yeah.
it's not, right? Which is great. Okay, good. So talk to me then about after high school. What did you do as soon as you got out of high school? After grade 12, what did it look like?
So I wasn't ready to go into the workforce yet. I just knew that I hadn't picked a career yet. I had too many options. I wanted to go into graphic design, which I actually had been competing for at Skills Ontario, and video production. I competed for that too. And I was really into it. I loved it, but I didn't see a future with it. I mean, honestly, I still think the film industry is a little bit more sexist than I think the trades industry is, with everything coming out with really big names right now. It just didn't seem like it mattered which one I picked. It was going to be what it is anyways. I was going to be surrounded by men either way, telling me what to do. So at some point I decided to get a co-op with a sign shop, and I figured that they would let me do a little bit of both, and they kind of did. But they didn't really let me touch too much graphic design. Obviously, they're getting paid to do it. Maybe I shouldn't do customers' work if I really don't know how to use Illustrator. uh, and then I had been on the shop floor long enough that I didn't really care if I went into the computer anymore. And I started just really vibing with the guys that were on the shop floor. And I really liked the work that we were doing. I liked the fact that I was busy all the time. I was building strength from just lifting things and even just cleaning up the shop because it was disgusting. Yeah, like it was just the constant moving. I didn't realize I had ADHD when I was a kid. I feel I'm not really diagnosed, but I feel pretty confident that I do now. And yeah, so that helped a lot with just trying to be able to move and get it all out of my system. I didn't feel like I was being held back so much anymore.
Yeah, oh, that makes sense. So then how come it didn't work out with the graphic design thing? What fell off there to lead you down a different path?
I realized I was going to have to make everybody else's designs for the rest of my life, whether they were good or bad, and I saw a lot of bad designs.
And you just couldn't stomach it, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then, I mean, you don't get to move when you're sitting at a computer all day either. You're just kind of,
yes,
you're stuck there.
Yeah, I have a whole thing in my book about how bad sitting is for you. You know, I wrote it while sitting at my desk. Fun fact.
Yeah.
But it's true. You know, the CDC, I think it was a CDC. I don't know. One of the health organizations, had put out a statement saying that, all the different ailments that you get from sitting for more than 8 hours a day, it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You might as well stand and smoke cigarettes all day. You know, really, it's just, it's terrible. It's terrible for you. Sitting is just the worst thing. I mean, leads to heart disease and weight gain and diabetes. And I mean, all these different things have been linked back to sitting, so there's a lot to be said about that. Just not liking to sit is like a superpower.
It's a natural thing, really.
It is.
By the way you're describing it, you shouldn't want to sit for that long.
No, nobody should. All right, so that makes sense. You didn't want to design other people's shitty designs, and so you wanted something else. But you liked moving around. So how did that transition happen? Where did you go after that, and how?
Somebody had told me. Honestly, I didn't really know what millwright was. I just heard it was a jack of all trade, and I was like, all right. Well, out of all of those magical trades that I don't really know much about, by the time I'm done my course at Cambrian, I should at least have picked one. If I don't like this one, I'll like one of them. And I liked all of them, I guess. So I stuck with it. And I was good at a lot of them. Like I got a 4.0 in college, which isn't exactly a huge thing to brag about because it is a community college, but it was hard enough to get because I was also working part-time the entire time. I even had 2 jobs for my second year.
Oh, that's awesome. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I got about half that in high school. So, I think it's...
I didn't do good in high school.
No, that's
my trades grades really saved me there.
That's impressive. That's great. So you went to school, graduated, and did you jump right into working as an apprentice from there?
So I got a bursary, like I think I was mentioning that earlier, and at that bursary, it came with the job. So it was originally for $500 or something like that. And it had an interview. After the interview, I guess we just really connected and things went really well. He was like, you know what? How much is your next semester? I was like, $2,500. And he paid for the whole thing. He upped it to $2,500. And I was so incredibly thankful because that was the last thing I expected to happen. I was like, when Cambrian asked me if I wanted to do a speech for it, I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. You know what? I'll put my life on the line because I didn't really grow up like good at talking. I was definitely socially anxious. In grade 8, I actually remember distinctly falling down in drama class because we had to like pretend we were some sort of character, specific job title. Mine was rocker. Came from a heavy metal family, so it was like, I got this. I was so happy. I was like pumped, easy peasy. I get up in front of the class and I just fall down and I start hysterically laughing because I think that's going to save me somehow. Did not save me. I'm still grateful to Colton Costi who got up that day and he was like, what's your thing? What's your thing? Give me your paper. he did it for me. So I've come a long way since then.
Yeah, I'll say. So that speech that they asked you to do, that was your first time doing anything like that?
Had never stood in that front of that many people before. I was just.
Did you crush it or what?
I did pretty good. I started the whole thing off mentioning that I had a lot of social anxiety, and the whole crowd was pretty empathetic with that, and you can tell. So that helped a lot. And Bill Best, who's the dean of Cambrian, I believe, or the president, he was like a real cheerleader for me in those moments.
That's
and
awesome.
I was a surprise for my mom too. Like, I had so many things going on all at once, and $2,500 fueling me in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Those 2,500 hours left in my brain.
No, that's awesome, and that's a great tactic, by the way. Did somebody teach you that, or did you come up by yourself? Because seriously, I mean, it's truly a tactic. Is setting expectation when you're up on stage. You know, that's what helps me all the time. You know, like say I didn't get a chance to prepare for my speech, or if I'm doing virtual ones and I have to read from my notes, I call it out, right? And I say, hey, listen, I got a day job, right? This isn't what I do for a living. I'm reading from my notes because I don't want to miss anything. It really helps set the stage and kind of ease that anxiety. So did somebody teach you that, or did you just...
Psychology was another thing I thought about going into. So people like to be humanized, and they like to see people as humans. You know, having someone up on a pedestal as some sort of god or untouchable creation isn't relatable. So when you go up there and you're like, this is really hard for me too, they're like, oh, I would have passed out by the time I got up there. Like, and all of a sudden you're a human. You're not just a person talking at them.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty smart. I see why that 4.0 came about. All right. Cool, man. No, that's really awesome. So how long ago was that?
I think that was 2018.
2018.
Maybe 2018, maybe 2019.
Okay. So take me into the rest of the journey then. After that speech, right? Because I mean,
I can't pass as an apprentice, I guess.
There you go. All right, good.
Yeah. I was the first woman they ever had in their shop. I was
Really?
also the first woman they ever had at the sign effect shop that I was at prior to. Which is an amazing feeling, to be honest. I don't know if I'll ever actually get over that because I'm setting the expectation and I know it. So I'm only going in there with the full expectation that I'm going to kick ass. It's not give it a half-ass, maybe every now and then because you need breaks, you need mental health, all of that. But 90% of the time, full force. I'm young.
Yeah.
Now's the time to do it. Make a name for myself and just know that that'll fuel me from here on out.
It's a great attitude. It's a really great attitude to have. Did you get any pushback being the first woman at the shop, or is it a situation where you was kind of...
At first, they're always so scared. Yeah. They're just scared to talk to you. They're scared to make jokes with you. And then you make worse jokes than they could ever think would come out of your mouth.
And they're looking at you like, what?
Are you okay? Did you really just do that?
Yeah.
The other day, I spit in front of someone. And he was like, now I got to dodge spit. And I'm like, no, you got to dodge semen. You have no idea how to react to that. They're just like, I'm not touching that. I'm sorry. I got to walk away.
Oh, my God. You really went in there and was like, hey, I'm going to fuck shit up. Let's go.
Yeah. You think that you're bad? Just you wait. Girls aren't like, we're sexual beings. We're not complete Protestants or anything like that. There's no reason to treat us that differently, to think that women hate sex or something crazy like that.
That's awesome. So are you still the only woman at the shop?
So for a while I was, so I was at the nickel refinery all by myself, as a woman anyways. I think there were 6 women in the dry in total throughout the entire refinery. And one of them was warehouse. Most of them are operations really. And the rest of them would have been staff. I'm not sure how many staff women there was because I didn't see them most of the time. But I was actually, the first woman I saw was Jessica, like on the shop floor, which I wish was here with me. But that was just cool because she was like right off the bat, instantly bubbly and friendly to like a degree I couldn't even explain. I'm nowhere near as bubbly as Jessica is.
I don't know. You're pretty bubbly.
She's easy to get along with. Like, you cannot do wrong by Jessica. It's amazing.
I can't wait to get her on the show too.
she's a little shy at first, so I'm excited for her to start overcoming that,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
like within this world, because I think she would kill it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're welcome to come back on the show with her, obviously. That was the plan today,
Yeah.
but she's under the weather, so we will definitely get her and you back on the show because I want to hear her story too.
The first time, actually, no, I lied. The first time I saw a female millwright was 2019 Skills Ontario Women's Conference. It was Millwright Kate.
Oh,
She's on Instagram under that.
yeah,
I forget what her
she's been on the show too.
Yeah. That, like, I couldn't even believe that a woman could be a power line technician. Like, I'm still overcoming a lot of my own stigmas that I had instilled within myself when I was a kid, right? So when I saw a power line technician come on right after her, I was like, no way you can do that. What? I thought they had to carry like 130 pounds up a pole. She's so strong. It was like groundbreaking for me to see that.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's great. So let me ask you, with what you do now, what do you love most about it?
Just that it's never the same. I could not imagine going into my job and doing the same basic job or even something similar every day. I mean, every now and then we do liners a lot, one after the other, which is like protecting the framework pretty much. But it's never the same. We'll work on hydraulics one day and we'll change a couple of fittings another day that are really important. Or we'll be driving around 90% of the time because everything's halfway across the mine to get to each location to do a door inspection. And even every job site's not the same. Working at the refinery is 100% different than working at Coleman Mine. And working at City Welding was 1,000% different than working at Valley in general.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot to be said about that too. I have a theory that when you hear about people getting burned out, it's really from doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
Once things start to get repetitive at work, I honestly start to shut down a little bit. I use my brain a lot less. I'm not critically thinking as much as I usually would. Like it feels like I cap out on the critical thinking skills on a repetitive task. And then that's it. I'm tuned out. Whatever I've got for automatic mode, that's all it is.
Yeah. Well, it's not natural, right? Because people like us, we push ourselves. We want to grow, right? And the only way to grow is to do different things we've never done before, and face new challenges and all of that. And so that's why the trades are perfect for people like that, because you're challenged every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So tell me, what's next? Obviously you're still young. You've got a lot of cool stuff ahead of you, but what are your plans? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go?
I think I want to be a professor at Cambrian one day, but that's like my retirement gig. When your body's all worn out, you probably shouldn't be doing this anymore because you've been giving her so long. But before that, I'm going to try my very best to go to just about every Valley mine site in Canada. Not in Canada, in Sudbury. Way smaller scale. Maybe Canada. We'll see how I feel. Take over the whole world. But we have Coleman Mine, North Mine, South Mine, Creighton. I'm not going to go to Taunton because it's a little farther away, but that's one of them. And Garson Mine. So that's 6 mines. And then we have the smelter, multiple crews on the smelter. There's like DFR and furnaces. There's the acid plant. I don't even know all of them yet. But
why do you want to go to all the mines?
I just kind of want to meet everyone individually and be like, yes, this is the poster child they've been talking about. And she really is that good. Maybe not that good, but half as good.
That's awesome. So much for humanizing. By the way, I'm the best.
It's not just a face. I'm really kind of a hard worker sometimes.
Oh, that's really cool. I think that's a lofty goal. What about like what you're doing right now with the speeches and being on this podcast? I mean, do you have it sounds like you've got a passion for sharing this information as well.
I think like maybe not, they would never do it to my face, but a little bit behind my back or before they meet me and actually get a feel for who I am and stuff like that. There's a bit of flack from that. But I just can't care. Like it's fantastic that they have opinions. It's cool. Everyone deserves them. But I'm just here to keep proving, because I almost didn't have this job. I almost decided to go be a psychologist or a graphic designer or video production. Like, And to think that I was probably a month away from making a different choice altogether is crazy to me. I want to make sure that every girl is a girl and young man, actually, like smaller young men that aren't aware that they can still do it. They don't have to be big and burly and humongously tough to do trades. Yeah, because this has been really great for me from start to finish. I don't know about finish, but from the start so far.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
No, that's great. And you know what? I mean, to your point, there's just so much value in the trades, and for anybody that wants to join the trades. And that's the common misperception that we're all up against, right? Is that, you know, you can't be a woman, or you can't be, you know, a guy that's not big and strong, or, you know, whatever it is.
Strong guy.
And it's just not the case. I mean, and to be perfectly honest, the trades needs all types of people, right? I mean, not just in the field either. I mean, we need people, you know, in admin, we need people in sales, we need people in management, we need new business owners, we need, you know, service managers, we need field managers, we need install. I mean, we need all these different people in the trades, because frankly, we just don't have enough. You know, I'm in the trades myself, and you know, my business is growing faster than I can find people. Right. And that's what led to all of this, is because it shouldn't be that way, you know.
Even with the pushback I get sometimes, or that I feel sometimes, I guess I don't necessarily get it, but people don't understand that that's 300,000 jobs in Ontario alone that will be lost in the trades. That's a huge difference. That's a huge impact on everything. They think the prices are high now. Can you imagine when we literally don't have enough people to make these things?
Thank you. You know, it's the domino effect, right? I mean, the trades touch everything. You can't throw a rock in this world without hitting something that was a result of the trades. So you take away the people, then you take away the resources, right? And the things that we see and the things that we touch every single day and rely on every day, that we take for granted every day, like the streets we drive on, or, you know, the electric that we charge our phones with.
That I'm using right now.
Exactly. You know, all of this stuff, the prices are just going to go up and up and up and up. And then who suffers? It's the consumer, right? It's the everyday person that's walking around taking the trades for granted. So anyway, moving on, you know, let's not talk about the bad shit. Let's only talk about the good shit. All right. So cool. So do you have plans then to do more stuff like this, like podcasts and speeches? And
not right now. Nothing like coming down the drain yet, I guess. Usually things just keep coming to me, though. When I started doing this, I never expected that either. I didn't think I would ever get a call back for anything. I just thought it was going to be a one and done. I was very happy with that as a socially anxious and terrible public speaker. Fantastic. Yeah. And then Cambrian asked me to meet the Ontario Minister of Colleges and Universities or something like that, because they were receiving some sort of grant for some research that they were doing. And I did a speech on that. Just did a speech about women in trades because they wanted a little plug on it. And I nailed it too. I don't know how I did it, but they were very happy with it. And they just kept calling me back for stuff. They included me in the Jill of All Trades event that we did locally. Jamie actually spoke at that one too. And then I started getting on panels with Skills Ontario. And then I got to Skills Ontario's Women's Conference, which is kind of like a full circle moment for me in a lot of ways.
Nice.
And and then Kick-Ass Careers, I contacted Jamie because she put something out on LinkedIn saying that she was looking for more ambassadors. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I messaged her. She's like, oh, I've already heard about you. I'm like, no way. How?
Oh, no kidding. Well, that's awesome. Well, you know, be prepared. I don't know what it is about this show, but sometimes when the episodes come out, you start to get calls for more shows like this. So,
gotcha.
Not to dehumanize myself or anything, you know, but
it just, on a pedestal there.
It just seems to happen that way, which is great. I mean, that's, you know, I love that because that's what this is all about, is just connecting people and, you know, being able to spread the word and really ultimately just letting people know, you know, man or woman, that, hey, the trades can be a very viable option for you.
Honestly, even personality types and trades, like it's not just body types that we're talking here. Personality types are a huge difference. Like just the way that you would think or plan a job or conceive a really difficult lift right? Like you're
It's a
with
really
a
good
crane
point.
and a tugger and everything gets involved. You got to get things in right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Mhm.
All right, so we're gonna move to close here, but I got one more question for you. So before I ask that question, though, is there anything else that you wanted to add on the show?
I'll
Anything
give
that we
some
missed?
advice at the end
All right,
about being an apprentice.
all right, great. Let me ask the question, and then you give your advice. Okay. In my book, right, I often talk about the definition of success and
Mhm.
how it relates to the skilled trades because everybody's version of success is different, right? We can't all fit in that neat little box that everybody tries to shove us in, where it says, "Hey, you need this much money, a spouse and kids and white picket fence, this many cars and 1.5 dogs, or cats in your case, but everybody's success is different, right? And I think that the trades is a great way to help each and every one of us individually live our own definition of success. So that's a
Mhm.
long way to ask you what your overall definition of success is.
Oh, wow. Happiness. I had a hard time picturing it when I was a little kid. Just never imagined it was even possible, to be honest. It was like an inconceivable dream. And now that I'm living on my own and I'm actually doing something I enjoy and I feel a lot of encouragement going forwards with it. And I feel like I'm building a lot of confidence in my own skills and techniques in just the way that I go about doing things and the attitude that I bring to the workplace sometimes. It's done a lot for me mentally. So overall, if you can find just regular old happiness, whether you're living in a trailer or a mansion, I think you're doing pretty good.
Is it true what they say? Is happiness the journey, not the destination?
Absolutely.
Uh,
I make a very similar comment. It's building the fort, not having the fort. That's what's all the fun is. When I was a kid, I used to build forts all the time. Once I had them, it was like, ah, cool. And then I abandoned it and built a new one like a couple months later.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or as Miley Cyrus would say, it's not what's on the other side of the mountain, it's the climb. Right? Anyway, wow, I can't believe I just said that on this show. Might have to cut that
Yeah,
out
you
too.
did.
Anyway, all right. So you said you were going to give some advice on being an apprentice. Let's hear it.
Okay. I still have to think a little bit, but I've got lots, I swear. I'm always thinking about it too, which is crazy. It's never not on my mind. Like, what can I do better as an apprentice? You really have to get in tune with your red seals. You have to kind of think like right ahead of them because they're busy working. They're not always like picturing what they're going to do next, what tool they're going to want next, whether or not they have it. Definitely grabbing those. That's like stage one apprentice, beautiful skill to acquire. Asking questions. Men or women, doesn't matter if you don't know what you're talking about. Ask as many questions as possible. Because I find a lot of men are like scared to ask questions. They feel a lot of pressure from society that they have to actually know everything going into it. Not the case. I can promise you your red seals will appreciate and genuinely respect you more for being like, hey, I don't know. Can you describe that to me? Women are a lot better at asking those questions because we don't feel that societal pressure. And a lot of people compliment me on it. And that's just because I didn't grow up the same as them. There's nothing wrong with men. It's just that different way of being treated our whole lives.
Yeah, makes sense. It's like that that perception or that cartoon that men never want to ask for directions.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's really really great advice. I love that. Questions I think are what makes the world go round. I'm a big advocate for questions. I think that's a big part of.
Curiosity. That's what drives us.
Yeah, I think that and it seems lost on a lot of people these days. Whether it's a result of societal pressure or whether it's just the way that we evolved, or sitting
I
on
think
your ass for too long, staring at a screen. I mean, I don't know.
I genuinely think as we move forward and we start to see equality start to balance out, maybe we start to bring men's health on a bigger pedestal than we have it on right now. And this push for women in trades, once we realize the difference that it's really making, we're going to see the equality a little bit better in how our brains really work differently, if it is really all that different. or even body types. I mean, there's this woman I've been watching on TikTok. She's in an oil rig. Like, I can't imagine working in an oil rig, but she's doing it. So clearly it's possible. You don't have to be a burly man to be on an oil rig. She's a burly woman on an oil rig.
There you go.
Strong as hell.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Kendra, that's about all the time we have for today. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show. Before we say our goodbyes, why don't you tell people out there where they can find you?
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn. It's just under my name, Kendra Liinamaa, Liinamaa. And then me and my friend Jessica, who's not here right now, actually share an Instagram account at the Millwrightish Chicks. So it's just Millwrightish, because we're not really Millwrights yet, _chicks.
That's awesome. I'll put a link to that in the description too.
Yeah. And then we're working with Kick-Ass Careers, so I'm sure you can find us via that too on Instagram, and not really Facebook or anything, but
absolutely. No, that's great. So Kendra, thank you so much for coming on the show, spending your time with me today. It was really, really insightful.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, okay?